Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Ij'al li wazira min ahli Haruna akhi ushdud bihi azri washriku fi amri. كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome, dear friends. Inshallah, we will continue our discussion on the from the 25th word of the Quran. From of the book from Nursi about the Quran, the miracle of the Quran, inshallah. So we are at least going through different categories from last time. We kind of touched upon how, in the way the Quran tries to explain in understanding and gives rhetorical questions to for an individual to think about, and it uses allegories and different literary devices, similes and exaggerations. So there are like different ways that the Quran employs to catch the reader's attention and makes them understand the message that it wishes to convey. And we saw that common person, they're like allegorical teachings as well, where the meaning is flexible. So that was big, basically, to as long as it is interpreted as fitting to whatever the subject being discussed that relates to the ghaibi matters, that relates to the Lord of the universe in a way, or his absoluteness. So we will continue, inshallah, from the next part of how the Quran kind of explains things to human beings. So, for example, by means of a comparison, the most merciful one on the throne established. Right, so this verse, section 20, verse 5. So this depicts divine dominicality as a kingdom and the degree of that dominicality as that of a king seated on the throne of his sovereignty and exercising his rule. So the most merciful one on the throne established. So a little simple kind of understanding is like a kingdom, dominicality, everything that is owned, the Lord. So divine dominicality, whatever is in existence belongs to him, right? So that's how the dominion is, the whole universe being his, the heavens, the earth are all his dominion. So everything existing. And the degree of the dominicality basically, so one can visualize this, a king seated on the throne of sovereignty, exercising his rules. So indeed, as the speech of the all-glorious creator of the universe, the Quran proceeds from the ultimate degree of his dominicality. So what is this ultimate degree of his dominicality? So the absolute being, the Lord of the whole universe, passes over all the other degrees, guiding those who rise to them and passing through 70,000 veils. The Quran looks to each veil and illuminates it, that veil. So the Quran scatters its radiance and spreads its light to the thousands of levels of those it addresses. The understanding and intelligence of whom are all different. Although it has lived through ages and centuries, whose capacities are all different, and has broadcast its meaning. So the Quran has been addressing through ages and centuries all different people of different capacities and has broadcast its meanings to this great extent. It has not lost an iota of its perfect youth and juvenility and retaining its total freshness and delicacy. So juvenile, so it's youth and juvenile. So it's all ever fresh and it teaches every ordinary person in a most easy, skillful, and comprehensible manner. So whatever aspect of a wonder displaying book, which thus teaches, convinces, and satisfies with the same lesson, the same words, numerous levels of people whose understanding and degrees are all different. Whatever aspect of such a book is studied, a flash of miraculousness will surely appear. So basically, the Quran's ability to speak to everyone at their level in a way. However, so every capacity of individuals can get something out of it in a way. Right? So even if somebody who is maybe not that much educated can understand, okay, yeah, there's a ruler who owns a certain piece of area, and then his authority over that area can be understood as divine dominicality, but then the ultimate degree of dominicality, each and every being in the universe, every single thing belongs to him, right? Passes over all.
We can't hear you. Awesome. We cannot hear you, Awesome. And you are not speaking, apparently.
Okay, I lost my connection, so I'm back. Sorry about that. Let me share again. All right. Hopefully, yeah. So we were talking about the each layer of understanding, and everybody can grasp that. Yeah. So the Quran scatters its radiance and spreads the light to the thousands. So at each level, somebody can, whatever can get something out of it. Right. So any comment or thoughts on this particular piece? So the most merciful one on the throne established.
I think we, I feel to read the text until this subject is completed, and then we can go back and see what the text is telling. What is it to do with the ayah, with the verse here, the mentioned in this, the most merciful one on the throne established. What is it to do with it? So we will talk about it, but we have to get this presentation, all of it, and then come back.
Okay, inshallah. So the next part is the in short, summarizing this whole first aspect of the different categories of explaining and understanding, right? So in short, just as when some words of the Quran, like all praise and thanks be to God, are recited, they fill a cave, which is the ear of a mountain, in the same way that they fill the tiny ears of a fly. So too the Quran's meanings satisfy ears like mountains in the same way that with the same words they teach and satisfy tiny simple minds like a fly. For the Quran calls to belief all the levels of man and jinn. It teaches the sciences of belief to all of them. In which case, the most lowly of the common people kneel shoulder to shoulder with the most elevated of the elite, and together they listen to the Quran's teachings and benefit from them. So when you form a jamaat of group gathering of prayer, then everyone is standing shoulder to shoulder, common man with the elevated man or elite, listening to the teachings of the Quran. That is to say, the Holy Quran is a heavenly repast or sustenance at which the thousands of different levels of minds, intellects, hearts, and spirits find their nourishment. Right? So your intellectual, intellect, mind, heart, feelings, and spirit find their nourishment. Their desires are fulfilled and their appetites are satisfied. In fact, numerous of its doors remain closed and are left to those who will come in the future. That's interesting. So, yeah, numerous of its doors remain closed and are left to those who will come in the future. If you want an example of this category from beginning to end, the Quran forms examples of it. All the Quran students and those who listen to its teachings, like the interpreters of the law, the veracious ones, the Islamic philosophers, the sages, the scholars of jurisprudence, and scholars of theology, the saintly guides of those seeking knowledge of God, the spiritual poles of the lovers of God, the learned and exacting scholars, and the mass of Muslims unanimously declare we understand thoroughly what the Quran teaches us. In short, flashes of the Quran's miraculousness sparkle in the category of making, understanding, and instruction, just as they do in the other categories. So this concludes the first section of the raise, basically of this particular different categories as the author was sharing. So Brother Ali, I'll give you the mic if you wanted to share some things.
Uh, yeah. Now, you complete your presentation, inshallah.
Yes, what I got from this whole section of this, what we've been studying, different verses, and the author was sharing how the different categories of making one is basically warning you or encouragement or making understanding or in silencing an argument. So there are different categories in which all these verses basically there that can speak to us. So we need to pay attention to how they're speaking, the manner, the rhetoric that's being used as well, and also the different literary device tools that are employed to mention all these versus, for example, the phrase "the most merciful one" on the throne established, right? So some on the throne established that gives a certain meaning to different people according to how they understand the throne. If they're maybe in studying literature, they have the understanding of maybe kings and their thrones, but then so they get some share of it in terms of understanding what the most merciful one on the throne established means, right? Basically referring to his dominion. But everybody gets a share out of how they interpret it or understand it. Of course, the throne established can be understood by in different ways by different people according to the whole universe. If we expand our understanding, we can see each and every creation, each and everything that is existing out there is basically out of the mercy of God. So his mercy is manifesting in each and every being in the divine dominicality, which is his kingdom or, yep, in that sense. Right. And then all these different veils or 70,000 veils, so many different layers and layers of understanding, but each one gets their share of understanding from accordingly how they've developed themselves. Brother Ali, please go ahead.
Shall we come back to the rest is you summarized it. That is fine. Shall we come back to this sentence? For the Quran calls to belief all the levels of man and jinn. It teaches the sciences of belief to all human beings. Yeah, that's I think this is the key point here. Can you just elaborate on this topic so that we can communicate together, inshallah, or anybody else would like to join?
Sure, let's talk. Yes. So all these verses that kind of are being shared by this author
Hmm.
are different ways of calling human beings to come to an understanding of who this absolute being is. So it calls human beings to believe that definitely.
No.
And then every person, whatever the level of education or their understanding that they've developed themselves into, so they benefit that from that call to believe accordingly.
Hmm.
Right?
The purpose is the purpose of the Quran is, as far as this verse is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for example, the most merciful one on the throne established. What is this throne? So, in principle, the author presents to us, and which makes sense, if the universe in its own, there are three categories now we have to understand, even four. One, the universe is created in such a way that the more you really scratch, the more layers of meanings or the qualities of the qualities of creator becomes apparent. We can find out. The way the universe is created is presented to us. We can get deeper and deeper and deeper message through the way it is created. When you look at it in general, wonderful creation. When you go deeper, you understand fine tuning in each being at each level, even the smallest, for us, smallest level, there is infinite wisdom, infinite knowledge, goes and goes and goes. This is universe. So there are thousands of different levels of human beings, from illiterate people to, uh, let's say, I don't know whether it is really true or not, but Nobel Prize candidates, thousands of layer, different kinds of meanings. Again, thousands of different kinds of manifestations of the qualities of creator in creation. Thousands of people, levels of people remain there, exist there. And human feelings. Today, a person is 10 years old. His understanding level is different. The more he gets education, his understandings get higher and higher and higher. This is also human beings, let's call it all of them, thousands of layers of levels of understanding the reality. A human being, an individual being, is uh, exercising. Now, this is different. So this is the second category in my categorization. Thousands of different levels of minds, intellect, start, spirits, and yeah, this is second category, layers of human beings. The third category is every person has thousands of different layers of, they go through, they develop through thousands of layers of understanding capacity. You can judge from your own experience, life, living experience. What did you understand when you were from the universe, from the meaning of life, when you were 15? Now, what do you understand as you are now? There are layers of understanding. That is third category. I don't think it is mentioned here. The fourth category, which is mentioned, Qur'an's expressions has also, or has and must be understood at thousands of layers of meanings. Now, there are four thousands of layers of elements are connecting to each other, connecting to each other. When I was 10 years old, my understanding is different. A illiterate person's understanding of existence is different. Creation is different. Understanding of creation is different. When I was 10 years old, my understanding of understanding is different. So when I am 10 years old, I only think of, I don't know, what to eat and how to play and how to make joke with people, with my friends. Now, that's my interest area. And when I read the Quran, when I was 10 years old, my understanding level is different. So that is the main, if you like, key to understand what the Quran is, what the author is saying about this kind of verses. Let's read the verse now. We can, of course, in its original language, everybody knows that Ar-Rahman استو no, الرحمن على العرش استوى. What is the translation? As the book says, the most merciful one on the throne established. Now, established on the throne. Okay. That was fine. Yeah, that is fine as well. The translation. Literal translation, let's look at it. As we are now, And as we are, you and me, or everyone here, the most merciful one on the throne established. What's this throne? Now, for 10 years old, throne is an imagination of a king sitting on it. Now, 20, 30 years old, 40 years old, maybe, symbolizing authority. 60 something years old, ah, holding the whole universe fully under his control. Now, which is the throne meaning is changing now. For an uneducated person, he has something from it. For very well educated people, have something understanding it. When you look at the Quran explains it, the most merciful one, it means merciful one, not the creator. Be careful. His mercy in the creation. Yes, Rahman. His mercy in the creation established on his authority. Everywhere in every creation you find mercy. But everybody is understanding every layer of creation, every piece of creation has mercy in its existence. The Quran's purpose is not to teach astronomy. Quran's purpose is as the text, a highlighted text said, Quran, sorry, here we go. I will read it from my book. It teaches the sciences of belief, iman, sciences of belief. It teaches the sciences of belief to all people at all the understanding of understanding capacity by showing the creation at its all layers of manifestation. So everybody looks at the universe and sees that somebody is really overviewing the universe. Simply. How it is? The purpose is in the existence of the things. Do you see that merciful act of creation is demonstrating himself to me? The purpose of the Quran is to teach belief. Who is doing all this? How he is manifesting himself to me? Not that whether all over the kainat, the universe, there is a throne. Now, it looks like huge throne, this endless, according to our capacity, endless universe, there is a throne and God is teaching on it. That looks like Greek mythology. So, Quran's description is not physical description. What kind of qualities manifested in this existence of these things? Now, in another verse, it says, my throne is water. On water. What does it mean? Again, look at the same thing. How water functions. No. You see that millions of different living beings are created out of simple water. Don't you see that somebody is miraculously introducing himself to you, mercifully creating millions of different animal species, not the number. Only the millions of different animal species are created. In each species has thousands of. I don't know whether I shared it with you. I read recently somewhere only species of ant. How many different kinds of ants are created? No, not number of ants. It is innumerable. Species of ant, different kinds of ants. How many? Imagine.
Thousands of them.
Yeah, according to these people who study this animal life, between 12 and 13,000 different kinds of ants are created. Only ants. So we see that all of them are created out of simple water. The simple water, the simplest uh, molecule, has two atoms in it. And these atoms are contradicting to each other in their quality. So out of this contradictory characteristic of water, millions of species are created. Each species, thousands of different kinds. This is not to teach. The Quran's aim is not to teach. Every living being is created out of water. No, no. Iman, iman, iman. Who can do it? Who can do it? Now, the purpose of the Quran is this. We have to read the Quran, you see, God, the Quran is full of miracles, miraculous explanations, or really explaining how the things are happening. Miraculous. Everything is miraculous. Thousands, not only 3, 4, 5 famous ones. Human or living beings, animate beings, animals in their mother's womb, have stages. This is the simplest one. Simplest one. Everything what the Quran mentions looks like miraculous, a disclosure, really. And anyways, our subject is when we read the Quran, we don't read, for example, you see, Quran miraculously explained that human beings just recently discovered that the human creation in the womb of the mother went through 4 dark stages or creation stages. It is nothing. I mean, the way they are realized is the miracle, not that the information about the 4 stages of fetus in the mother is not really significantly miraculous. Of course, it is miraculous as well, but this is almost nothing as compared to how it is realized. Who can do it? It means through this teaching of creation, that God creates, he is teaching me who he is. It means introducing himself, introducing his endless qualities in the creation manifested it themselves. So Quran is saying, pay attention to this. I think we should find out this verse. Let me try to remember. The subject of the verse is this. Fereth. I think the word was fereth. God is creating milk of the animals through blood. And if somebody remembers this verse, I will love it. But we have to see how beautiful the it is beautifully explained in the Quran. You try from the subject. Let me see if Allah gives me the opportunity to. No.
So what's God creates from what?
Milk,
Oh, okay.
animals' milk, and through blood and I mean, uh, this the human beings don't like the thing get out of it. No, maybe let me try this verse.
I think one verse before 66.
What do you mean? One verse before the verse we are studying here?
No, this one is show. Yeah.
Thank you, Sheza.
Did you find it?
Yes, I'm sharing it. Yeah.
Let me see. Let me see. Yes, that's it. That's it. That's it. Shukran. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, look at the verse now. Why this verse is mentioning? Look, in livestock too, you have a lesson. You have a lesson. Eh? Ibra. We give you a drink from the contents of their bellies, animals' bellies, between waste matter. You know waste matter, eh? Between ferritin, yes, ferret. I was ferritin. I misremember the word. Ferritin with demin. Now, here is the waste. You know what it means. Between waste matter and blood comes out pure milk, sweet to drink, to the drinkers. You understand that? Do you think that the purpose of this verse is to teach us how milk is produced in the body of an animal? Isn't that something else? The aim of the verse? What?
Definitely something else.
No, what can it be?
So pay attention who is doing it and how, and come to realize what the capacity, capability of the one who is doing it, get to know him.
If you investigate this, how my intestine knows which is waste matter, knows which will be blood, knows what will be milk, knows even further. Some of them will become meat, some of them will become bone, some of them will become nerves, some of them will become blood vessels. What's going on? Now, the purpose is not to teach how the animal body works. No, in the way that it is created. You drink water so sweet, enjoyable, but it is separated out of the waste matter. I mean, the translation used a very kind word, waste matter. What waste matter is, you know that, don't you?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, of course it is. Quran uses kind language. Now, what is, I mean, it is incredible. That is how we should read the Quran. That's how we should read the Quran. Don't pay attention. Milk is coming from the waste matter, through the waste matter and blood and other things. How the milk is so sweet. It's created out of what? Something included in it waste matter. Who separated it? Which kind of, how is it called? This raffinery system, refining factory. Even the human beings can make simple out of raw petrol. They have a huge factory just to have 4 or 5 degree of the gas and other gasoline and different kind asphalt. How about what is going on in your own body? No? So what is the purpose? To invite us to understand the one who creates it with in this unimaginably miraculous way, introducing himself to me that anytime you drink water, anytime you have blood in your body, anytime you go to the toilet, you have to remember him. You have to be thankful to him. This is the purpose. Not that this Quran, you see, the Quran is miraculously explaining how milk is created. No, that is something very insignificant next to realizing who is making it. That is why this kind of 7 layers of sab'a samawat, fi sittati ayyam, this kind of verses, in 6 days, 7 layers of heavens. How many layers? 7 layers? What does it mean? Pointless. Layers of kinds of different creation is presented to you in order to teach, educate what the purpose of existence is, who is realizing this existence, executing this existence in the world, in this universe. How can I benefit from this information? What shall I do with this creator? So he is my creator. Yeah. And especially, it is so amazing. When the child is born, now, to each veil and illuminates it. Meaning, when the child is born, woman's body is created in such a miraculous way. The day the child is born, woman's body starts separating the milk from the waste matter and blood and dirty things. Who is this perfect timing? So we have to really, when we see that baby is born and mother takes the baby, puts the baby on her breast, and the baby starts sucking. If a person experiences this life, this kind of creation, at whatever the level is, maybe biology professor, maybe uneducated person, they have to declare, scream out, Allahu Akbar. Scream out, prostrate, make prostration before God. This is the purpose of creating milk, creating the baby and timing it, inviting us to believe in the Creator, whatever the level is, but Quran doesn't give, in principle, specific description as we find it in physics, chemistry, biology books. Why? It should be out of the purpose. It goes a deviation. It would be deviation. Everybody at every level, they should be able to conclude about the purpose of the Quran, which is belief in ghaib, in the Creator, and not only in God. That is the key point. Belief to all levels of people at their all levels of understanding capacity. The universe, the Quran, the human nation, human population, and human capacity, potentiality are corresponding to each other perfectly. But most amazing thing is Quran's message also corresponds and really fits perfectly within this connection, interrelationship between, I don't know, now came to my mind main four elements. There may be more, but I have to think because I'm not confused. I'm not making. I don't like to make this matter more complicated by bringing in jinn into the subject. So these are not only four, maybe more, but roughly for the moment more. Yes. Okay. Somebody H Beyza ve inne lekum fil enam. Yeah, mashallah, mashallah. Milk. Alhamdulillah. So we have to learn how to read the Quran, benefit from it. Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. This was very good, actually. So,
Never try to, I'm sorry, Asim. Never try to understand 6 layers. What is that? First level of heaven, second level of heaven. Pointless discussions. Pointless talk about it. Different layers, finish. According to the need of the human beings, audience, all humankind. That is what you really rightly bolded out. Now, really, this author. Now, the sciences of belief to all. Just one word, but everything, to all the levels of man. So we added here the creation is realized also in a way that every kind of people at every level of their understanding will benefit from the Quran teaching. Nothing will be deprived of it because he didn't know, because he didn't learn. No, everybody. That is why the Quranic verses speak in general terms, not specific. Very rare we find the ayats, verses of the Quran, specifically mentioning in order to just teach us how the things are happening. No, it's not a physics book, not a chemistry book, biology book, not a history book, not a storybook. We have to know that this is the speech of the creator of the universe, educating human beings how to get to know what ghaib is, so that they will have a secure belief, certainty in the necessity of the existence of ghaib, inshallah.
Inshallah, thank you. All right. Any other comment by anyone or any thoughts? That's one of the Quran's miraculousness to make, understand, and instruct everyone. So, Muawiyah, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I hope you guys are doing well. I just had a question on that concept we were talking about earlier with the idea that every single verse is applicable to every single person at all times. I agree. My only question is earlier we were talking about like a little kid if he's reading the Quran. Like for some of these verses, they're like very like I don't know, how would he, for example, with the verse on like divorce or something or on some like ruling, even though those have a deeper meaning that I can appreciate now, as a kid, it's very difficult to explain that to like a small boy. So how would you apply like I think there are some verses that are very difficult that might be very difficult to apply at certain points in your life. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but what do you think? I'm trying to understand.
So, for example, the specific verses and specific scenarios, for example, yeah, the rules of inheritance, for example, and about the
Yeah,
divorce.
that's actually a great example. The rules of inheritance. I mean, when I would read that as a young boy, I mean, I just skim it because I didn't really. I mean, admittedly, as a kid, I didn't really have anything to do with it. Like for me in my mind, I was just like, oh, thank goodness this is mentioned here, so it avoids a lot of unnecessary argument, and I just moved on. And now, obviously, I can see a deeper meaning and appreciation of that. But I don't know, is that sufficient for the kid at his level? And then there are some people that, for example, some verses just never they might just never really gain a good appreciation of that. So how does one kind of like germinate that appreciation? How do they grow in their understanding?
The main purpose of the Quran covers the 97% of the Quran. The subject that all the subjects like the one who we mentioned here, divorce, marriage, inheritance, these are practical side and organizing human life. So we have to understand these verses, this practical guidance, we have to understand on the basis of our belief. If someone doesn't believe that he is created and he needs a creator, he is not convinced yet. If someone is not satisfied that he has a purpose in his existence, then it is not. Of course, it is irrelevant for him to expect a book from a book which was revealed 14 more hundred years ago. He will explain my inheritance rules here. It has nothing to do with it. So we have to understand first, are we created? Do we need a creator? Do we have a purpose in our existence? What is the purpose? Who created us? With which capacity? We have to understand. And then 3% of the Quran it becomes easy to understand. My creator is giving me the fundamental principles, which must be applied by the people who accept these belief principles. The Quran's practical matters, mentioning the verses, practical inheritance, are not related to unbelievers. For unbelievers, it doesn't make sense, obviously. So we cannot say that you are not responsible for this unless you establish your belief. Unless you know who you are in this world. What is the purpose of your existence in this world? Then you can think that this creator is presenting to me how I should distribute the deceased person's property to his or her inheritors. So these people, first of all, must understand that the owner of the property is not me, is not my deceased father or mother. Owner of the property is the one who created this property. If someone doesn't realize this, talking about the value and wisdom of inheritance law is nothing but stupid, pointless, because Quran's practical 3% of the Quran mentions about practical matters, and practical matters are to be applied and practiced by people depending on personal or communal level. Personal wise, this person must be satisfied with all the elements of belief, articles of belief. If it is for the society, all the society must accept and must be educated in belief, and then say, your God is saying, this property is mine. I am teaching you the best way to distribute it among the inheritors. But without having 90% of the Quran, coming to a secular society, most of the Muslim people are living in a secular administration. Who is living in Sharia? Who is really, really willingly ready to practice this Sharia rules? Who is in the world? Even among the Muslims, how many of us went to Sharia? How can you? Even when you are getting married, I don't know whether you are married or not, but I'm guessing you are not. I think, Muawiyah, are you married? Come on, disclose your identity, civil identity.
No, I'm not married right now.
So when you are getting married, you will look at the beauty of the girl. Don't be this classical, how do you say, motto language. I will get married for the sake of belief. My joke is about this. A person said, I want a modest, believing, practicing lady, woman, to get married, somewhere around 20-something years old. I said, okay. Oh, mashallah. That is your only criterion? He said, yes. Are you sure? Wallahi. Okay. I know somebody. Really? His eyes were really bright. But she is 65 years old. But, that was your only criterion, huh? Don't lie, man. Be realistic. Do you understand? Do you understand?
I understand, yeah.
Yeah. So if someone, so this, I am a Muslim, I want Sharia. How about this civilization? You cannot practice Sharia here. No one believes in it. So bring this inheritance law, make a presentation which justifies that Islamic Sharia makes sense in secular society. Impossible. Because they think that this is my father's property. Quran thinks that it is God's property. Completely different context. While we are getting married, we get married mostly for sexual desire satisfaction? We honest. So, but the others are secondary. So, if you get married for this purpose, Qur'an's nikah rules do not make sense to you at all, because your direction is different. Qur'an's direction is completely different. Qur'an says make a nikah act in the name of Allah, really, not say that, okay, in the name of Allah we get married. No. Do you realize that this man, this woman, this boy or girl is Allah's property? You are having it and uniting your life with Allah's present to you. The other part also must have the same meaning and make a firm confirmation, firm, how do you say, what do they say? Act between yourself. I know you are Allah's trust to me. Do you know that I am and Allah's trust for you? So we are uniting our life only with the properties of God. Do we have this consciousness? Do you know anybody who get married with this consciousness? How can you apply the marriage rule, divorce rule to this man? When he gets angry, when something goes against his benefit, he just goes and divorces it, thinks that Sharia gave me the rule, gave me the right to divorce it. You must be a monkey, not a believing man, imitating certain rhetoric. Not a Muslim, let alone Muslim believer, monkey. We cannot understand the Quran in this way. So we have to say, in order to practice all these rules, you need to be a mu'min as much as possible, at least practicing, loyal, sincere believer. And you need to be living within a sincerely believing population who are willingly, not only willingly, really desirously looking forward to application of their Creator's guidance in their personal and physical community life. Where are they? There are no such people in the world. Go and see. One newly converted person, it was long ago, but still it is even worse, came from the UK, that I cannot really forget this event. He came from the UK, England, to visit us in Turkey, in Istanbul, and he wanted to go through Europe by traveling by bus. This time it was okay. It was some years ago. So he stopped by anywhere, Netherlands and Belgium, Switzerland, Italy, Yugoslavia, France, definitely Germany, and Crete and Istanbul. What did he say? He said, there is no difference between Istanbul and Athens. Only this building minaret, it means just stone. The life, the people's living in the style are the same. And surprisingly, people in Athens are more loyal to their Orthodox Christianity than the Muslims to their Islam. In the villages of, this is reality, in the villages of Greece, people, women work in field, doing culture, wear their scarf in West Anatolia. They don't wear it. He said they are more religious than the Muslim Istanbul and Turkey. I really realized that, oh, it is really the case. What is going on? I was young then, really quite young. Not quite young, means really at least again 30 years old as compared to my age now. So I said, that is really true. How can you talk about the value of these principles to a person who doesn't really trust God and explains everything and every existence, himself and the universe and everything in terms of God's property? So only God's property understanding develops, and only then we can talk about how to deal with God's property according to the desire, according to the guideline of its owner. Use my house in this way, right? Even when you are renting a car, or hiring a car, renting a house, can you do against the general principles of the landlord's contract? Can you use that I hired the car, but I use it as I want, heat it somewhere? Can you do that? Do and see what will happen. The owner of the car, although you hired it, is still the rental company. You are not the owner. So you have to use it as the conditions put forward by the rental company. You cannot use it as you want. So we have to acknowledge the owner first. Who owns me? Who owns my feeling? Who owns the universe? And then talk about this subject. I never talk about this subject. And you cannot really make an excuse by explaining the wisdom in them. Wisdom makes sense only for a strong believer, consciously believing person, not traditionally believing person, consciously believing strong believer. Then it makes sense. The wisdom makes sense. For non-Muslims, it doesn't make sense, of course. So we have to know where these verses, these kind of verses that Muawiyah mentioned, must be talked about, under which conditions that we can talk about it. Thank you very much.
Subhanallah, Jazakallah khairan. That was beautiful. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Thank you so much. All right, I think we are at time here. Yeah, Muawiyah, go ahead.
And if we're at time, I don't want to start a longer discussion then. I think it might be better to close.
So, I mean, if it is related, I think we have to have, short time, but would like to hear.
Okay, I was gonna ask if it's only 3%, which that is like I mean that makes sense, right? I mean I agree with everything you said. Why do we see such a focus, especially among our scholars, on that 3%, as opposed to like a 97% focus on the establishing belief?
Perfect question, perfect question. That time, all the scholars, previous scholars, dealt with the Quran according to needs of their time, believers according to needs of the believers in their time. They rightly concentrated on this practical side. We can have if you like, next week is Saturday, a long historical background how Muslim population grew and also spread around, how the needs of people developed, why scholars emphasized on this 3%, because people had no problem with belief at all. They were totally ready to submit their lifestyle to this. We cannot blame them, but we cannot imitate them either, because today people have lost their belief. Even the Muslims don't know what they are believing. They believe in the Quran, never read it. That is the contradiction. Claiming to be Muslim and not having a lifestyle according to his claimed belief, because he's just a people of word. All the Muslims in America I see came here for what? Who came here to learn the truth, reality of their existence? Who came here? Everybody came here to make money, to have a more comfortable life, and claiming to be Muslim. Yes, they are Muslim. I am not saying that they are not, but they don't deserve to practice Sharia. That's why they don't practice Sharia. They don't deserve it. They think that they left Sharia. No, we have to understand, Sharia left us. You don't deserve me. Left us, we think that we are denying. No, no, no. Sharia is denying us. You cannot be my follower. So stop claiming me. Don't practice it. That is qadar. We have to understand why people don't read the Quran, because they don't appreciate the Quran. Quran says you will not have the Quran in your hand. Only symbolically, 1 or 2 days in Ramadan, this Laylatul Qadr. That is just what you deserve. Only read it and don't understand anything, because you don't deserve to be my follower. Quran rejects it. We think that the people are rejecting Quran. No, Quran rejects them. We have to understand how God's wisdom is really operating in the world. So we don't imitate scholars because it doesn't work anymore, but we don't lose our appreciation of their work. In their time, it was perfect. Simple example, Ibn Sina was the greatest scholar of medicine. Now, it has no value at all. No, not almost, totally at all. No one follows Ibn Sina, but it doesn't mean that Ibn Sina should lose respect. No, he deserves to be respected, but never to be followed. Understood, Muawiyah?
It's very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. It was good that you asked. I'm pleased. Yeah, thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. It helped us as well. Thank you. Inshallah. So next week, I think Saturday, we can discuss, how the scholarship kind of evolved, inshallah. I think it's a good idea to do that. So I'll take a note on that, inshallah, before we go. I mean, that stems off from like the 97%. Why is it now so dangerous to ignore it and focus on the 3% and just follow the rules and not really understanding who we are, what our purpose is, who brought us in this life, what are we going through, who is arranging it. And then we can follow we follow whatever we understand best, but then we need to focus first mostly on the 97%, I think, right? And what about these ethical lessons that we're studying, Brother Ali? Like that also has that understanding, right?
Allah, take notes and let's talk about it if needed.
Inshallah, yeah. Okay, so we will stop here, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma alamtana innaka anta al-alimul hakim wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen bi hurmati surat al-Fatiha. Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. See you tomorrow, inshallah.
Tomorrow, inshallah.